Hi, everyone. This is Product Fit by Airtime, a video podcast series with exceptional product builders. I'm Akos, the CEO of Airtime. Airtime is an autonomous product discovery platform, which turns all your customers' calls into product insights. And in today's episode, my guest is Aleksa Mitrović, the co-founder and CEO of Hyperaktiv. Aleksa, could you introduce yourself and maybe also tell me how if I pronounce your name properly or good enough?
Yeah, Kush, thanks a lot for having me. And of course, as fellow neighbors, you pronounce my name perfectly fine. So yeah, thanks for inviting me
Awesome.
over. And yeah, I'm Alex. I'm coming originally from Belgrade, Serbia, living in Berlin. And as Akush mentioned, I'm a co-founder of Hyperaktiv.ai. And together with my co-founder, Francois, we've been building a product that basically does everything one data science team does for the go-to-market team at SaaS companies. So makes sense out of all the user track data, give actionable insights, and how to improve their results and revenue.
Cool. Can you give me a sense of what maturity of at what maturity of companies is it meaningful? Who are you targeting with your product?
Yeah, so we've the majority of our customers are actually companies less than 20 employees. Actually, majority of them are less than 10 employees. For one simple reason, I purposely did it that way. Not only myself, Francois and I agreed on that. Basically, for which reason, several ones. So, we could build those kind of relationships quite fast. We can close deals quite fast. Usually, the sales cycle is one meeting, maximum two, and it's a kind of closed deal. We still don't have self-service, so it takes a lot of our kind of founder-led sales approach. And basically, we target companies to whom we can relate a lot, and we really want to help all the little companies, really help them grow and increase, and be a part of the journey of our customers. So, both strategic reasons, kind of sales reasons, and a little bit of romantic reasons.
About that, and you launched your company a few years ago, right? Was it 2021, 2020 when you launched your startup?
Yeah, it was late 2021.
Late 20.
We launched. Yeah.
When you launched, was it the same idea, the same value proposition that you offer today, or how far? If not, then how far are you from the original, like the first landing page that you published and started to promote?
It's entirely different. Entirely different market, entirely different value prop. A good chunk of our engine is relatively same. So what we started with was talent onboarding software, targeting tech companies. It was 2021, midst of pandemic. A lot of people didn't know what they're gonna do, how they're gonna work. Are we going back to the offices? Are we gonna work again together, or always work from home and remotely? It was quite hot topic. Basically, we were speaking with a lot of companies, and we realized there is a big opportunity there, and that's how we started in late 2021 with that basically idea.
Right. So I'd love to unpack this because there's a big arch from your initial value proposition and target market.
There are actually several arches.
Okay. But I'd like to go through this process because I think there's a lot we can learn from how a company starts with a great idea and then the market changes. You had some other learnings and decided to pivot. And I'd like to deep dive into this process of iterating and pivoting. So, before we get into like multiple arches, could you walk me through like as a history lesson? What was this pre-pivot experience that you had? Like you went to market with your initial idea, and walk me through the process, how you realized that you need to fundamentally change the value prop, your ICP, or some other components of your business. How did you came to realize that?
Yeah. So to answer that, I would go one step beyond. So how we started first with it, we started talking with companies about this. This is something, the problem we felt ourselves whenever we were joining organizations. Francois was running a tech consultancy and within 2 years hired 90 devs. And then whenever I was part of the sales team, it was always really big pain in the ass bringing salespeople up to speed. And then what we've done, we started exploring more in this direction. We spoke with some 40, 50 companies and identified as onboarding was the big next topic in the future of work at that time. And
especially that everybody was stuck at home, right? We're speaking about Corona times when you can't be in an office and just turn to someone and ask, hey, how do you do this or that?
Yeah, 100%. So, and the thing is, nobody knew how to do it. A majority of the companies were using old software that wasn't really designed for remote first or work from home or hybrid setups. So a lot of them had this as a sort of number one priorities to sort out. And then basically started usual story, usual scenario, feedback. For everyone, it's a big problem. Everyone wants to solve it. Everyone would pay for it if only just had a solution. We started drilling down in this direction, got a lot of insights and feedback, a lot of kind of behind the scenes, everything that happens, all the correlations in the onboarding itself. We went to the market. It was with a MVP beginning of 2022. Something interesting that started happening at the beginning of 2022 was people started slowly going back to the office. There were waves between people going to the office, out of the office. So as Corona waves were coming and going, that's how people were coming and going to the office. So particularly about this timing, beginning of 2022, people were going back to the office. And at the end of the Q1, beginning of Q2, a huge wave of layoffs were starting to come. Or maybe if they weren't happening at the moment, there was kind of hiring freeze. And the timing was simply off for us. That was one thing. Other thing was we realized, even though we were trying to go by the book, how to develop the product, to bring it to the market, man test, all the possible frameworks. Again, it came down that what people say is one thing and what people do is completely another. And we faced that actually how we were targeting the product in the beginning, we were failing to get buyers and users actually implement the product inside their companies. So there was simply, at least how we were trying to sell it, there was lack of ownership of internal champion that will actually do it. And with the combination of everything kind of led us to kind of question our direction, the market, the product, kind of everything at that moment.
I think this is a very tricky situation because if you lack traction for your product, you could argue that I have a low maturity of my product. If I increase the maturity and if I add just a few more features, then adoption will be better. You could also argue that if I iterate on my messaging and the value, the way I formulate the value proposition, I can get better at reaching and convincing the stakeholders in the company. And I think it's easy to get stuck in this perpetual wish that you'll be, if only I just do like another slight tweak to the product or to the sales process, I'm going to see a major improvement. And I'm curious if you went through this process yourself, and what was the point when you said, okay, that's enough, no more tweaking, we're going to do something different? Well,
so the to take that into account, so my background is in B2B sales, and Francois, even though he's a tech professional, he's a brilliant businessman. So he was running a technical consultancy, and he was starting a couple of startups. So I would say that we have quite a strong business background. And something that personally is bugging me all the time is, when you as a company, you're not signing contracts, you're not sending invoices, there's no movement. I personally get very frustrated to the levels of completely irritated by everything. And it was general unhappiness, but not knowing exactly what to do. It was kind of trying to figure out what is the direction. And it really come down to just speaking with people. We at that moment, we were speaking with some companies, and we started speaking with some marketplaces. And some of the people that were working operations at marketplaces, they basically told us the following thing, and I hope you won't mind my French here, where they said, like, onboarding is shit at our companies, but nobody really cares. We have people join the company, they sit for 2 months without even equipment, without laptop, they don't know what to do, but nobody cares about it. That's fine. Where we are struggling a lot is actually getting people on the marketplace to be active, to be ready to participate in the marketplace. And we were speaking with a couple of marketplaces around the topic of talent onboarding, and we started seeing patterns here where everyone started kind of going in this direction. And, organically it happened that we started exploring more and more. Like, if people say openly to us, we were lucky that people were very direct to us to say, onboarding is terrible, but nobody cares about that. You could say that maybe we were speaking with the wrong profile, with the wrong industry, wrong geography, whatever. But if that was kind of at the back of several months where things are not happening, and people openly tell you nobody cares about that. So it started raising red flags to us, and then we went down the rabbit hole kind of towards the marketplaces and onboarding the marketplace players to be kind of onboarded over there. So we pivoted from talent onboarding into more marketplace onboarding, like a supply and demand side onboarding on the marketplace.
Yes, and when you decided, when did you decided? So let's call this your first pivot. When you decided on this, how did you worry that that you're going to go through the exact same cycle as before, that people tell you, yeah, this is something important. It's important in my job. I would pay for it. Then you build it. And then they don't pay for it.
Of course, I mean, that worry is always there, even today, to be honest. So basically, 100% was there. Just the pull towards that was way stronger than what we currently had. And Francois and I, as mentioned, are business people, and we are driven by providing value on the market and in turn getting the money exchange, right? And we felt that this was closer to that exchange between the value and the revenue, rather than where we were currently. We believed at that time what we were building was dead end. So staying there and just waiting to die as a company, like, of course, kind of we didn't want to do. So basically, for us, the choice was very, very simple. Either we are following this kind of smoke, these signals, or we stop entirely what we are doing and rethink from ground zero. We believe that we were quite close to doing something big over there because we saw great opportunity, but then it didn't materialize for some different reasons.
Then, so this was you now targeted marketplaces, right? And the talent onboarding for marketplaces.
Not talent, the supply and demand side onboarding for the marketplaces.
Okay,
we
got that.
Talent whatsoever. But it was more on the supply and demand side. Like, if you're Airbnb, how do you onboard your host to be onboarded as fast as possible, to be as active as possible, and the shortest time to revenue possible?
That this is still a stretch from what you're doing today. right?
Huge
So
rock.
I'm curious how you went.
This one is actually closer to what we are doing
or is
today
it?
than
Explain it to me. How is that?
Kind of similar goal, different audience, different solution. So what we are doing today, pretty much, we help companies really analyze, process, and get answers what they need to do to increase their retention of their SaaS users, what they need to increase the conversion of their SaaS users. So fundamentally speaking, it's kind of similar. In the back of my mind, I still have marketplaces as one of the niches I want to reapproach in the future, because we spend awful lot of time with them and understood a lot of things that are going on. However, at this stage, we believe that we would get faster to the bigger traction and bigger amount of revenue at some other niche. But this would be entirely different approach towards, because at that time our approach was more towards operations. Right now we are approaching more towards growth and go to market, kind of with similar goals.
Okay. Got that. So it means, from what I hear, and tell me if I'm paraphrasing it in a wrong way. What happens that what you started out with an idea, then you saw some signals, some business signals that this is not flying because you had difficulties to sell. I guess it's also some from product usage. You saw that it doesn't fly, and you also got feedback from prospects, from potential customers that they're not going to purchase in the end what you built. And at the same time, you saw some signals, and I'm going to call it smoke. I think you used the term smoke, which means, okay, there are fires over there. And let's take the technology that we built and the knowledge that we had, and let's see how we can apply it in a different setting, right?
Yeah.
But you haven't scraped your technology in all the pivots. You were iterating
the
on
first
that.
and second, or the second and where we are right now, because where we are right now. So we had, I would say.
Did you throw out your code at one point and just start building something completely new, or?
Never happened. We were cutting down a lot of pieces of code, but never that we 100% written in a dustbin and started from. So how it happened? Small timeline. Started as a talent onboarding, didn't fly. Got a pull towards marketplace supply and demand side onboarding. Again, for different reasons, didn't fly. We got to pull more into people compliance business. So again, marketplaces, all these kind of topics where you have people compliance, KYC, and so on. We got pulled in that direction. Again, that didn't fly, and then from there we got where we are here.
Okay, got it.
So there are like we basically made 2-3 big pivots and a bunch of small iterations in between. So the steps were never, like we were here today and then tomorrow we are 10 steps in other direction. It was always step by step. Okay, that's why it never happened that we entirely just scratched the whole code and started from zero.
And you to pivot in the past, did you have like an action plan? Something that, okay, this is what we're going to do in the next 2 months to figure out on which trajectory or what to focus on, like which customer, which value prop, and where we want to go.
Neither in the past nor today do we have longer plans than 1-2 weeks. In most commonly we do 1 week sprints and plans, because what's the goal is to go with to get the maximal learnings with minimal efforts. And particularly we are quite aggressive about that today. I would say the biggest change and why we are happy with what we are doing today and how it's performing today, we build based on revenue. Before we were building based on feedback. Right now, again, always the first thing we would deliver is super manual, super ugly, unsexy, the first thing that our customers get ever. But then once we see that they get the value, it doesn't look nice, it's not fully automated, it's not particularly sexy, but we see that they get the value and they ask more for it, that we go back and forth with several of them, and we see like common denominators, and we start quickly realizing what we exactly need to do. So basically our sprints are on a weekly basis. We have some tasks, of course, that go way beyond 1 week, but they're maximum maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. What happens the most is we have the cycle where we, let's say, build something, and then the goal is to either sell to new customers, upsell to the current ones, fine-tune and refine the value prop. We get the learnings, then maybe we see, okay, we need to change something about the core engine. In those cases, we had the longest sprint for Francois was some 3 weeks that we had recently. But before we gathered a lot of things that we did manually, that we know, okay, this we make it and it will be scalable. More specifically, what we were doing before, our backend was completely almost manual. It was our backend was basically in Google Sheets. So
almost like a concierge experiment, no? Where you sell.
Yeah. So for what reason? Because we realized we can iterate in Google Sheets like in a matter of seconds. Like we even today had something that we were discussing how to do. We would deliver it a little bit different way, but how we're going to process it, we process it inside Google Sheets. And then we came to the moment where we basically broke Google Sheets. I don't know if it ever happened to you, but Google Sheets just went entirely blank. And then we realized, okay, so we need to do something. We hit the ceiling where we are with what we can do in the current unsexy way. Okay, let's go to the next step. Next step of unsexy way. We know what we need to do. And then Francois was basically shifting our backend from Google Sheets to BigQuery, which is basically cloud computing. And now it's insanely good. But we spent a lot of time, like 2-3 months, going back and forth with customers, selling all of that, and to be able to get 3 weeks plan for the product. Even though Francois does a lot of smaller iterations every single week, but usually our sprints are 1 week thing.
I love that you broke Google Sheets. It's a feat.
Yeah,
I have a last question. Yeah,
that's when we knew that we were on a good path. Before we were in a situation where a lot of things were working super cool. Again, they weren't looking the best, but they were quite good how they work. Right now, that's not the case, and the goal is we don't like we every iteration is done. We know what's the ceiling of the current technology, so we don't go into infinite ceiling like we can serve 2 billion people. No, we know, okay, the first iteration was like we can serve 10 companies. Okay, next one we know we can serve 50 maybe. So it's the whole idea is like once we break our current setups, at the same time it's super painful. It's like we are both annoyed, but on the other
but
side,
also proud exactly. At the same time,
Exactly.
Like you got the existing technology, and now you need to upgrade.
100%. That was the goal. So it's kind of counterintuitive, but for us, this is mentioning to mention one more time: building based on revenue, 100%. Never again building based on feedback. Solely building based on revenue.
Aleksa, I have a last question for you, which is about if like fate holds another pivot for your company. Is there anything that you would do differently than the way you did it in the past, in past pivots?
Build solely based on revenue.
And revenue meaning that the customer is asking for something, but also paying for it at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, basically, the whole idea is that there is exchange between the value and the money, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the setup, the technical setup, the designs and so on, but in each iteration, people get the most out of the current setup. If I tell you, for example, hey Akos, write me on WhatsApp, you will get from me for 200 euros return trip to New York. You wouldn't care if I have mobile app or if I have website or whatever. you would do the pain of sending me manually the WhatsApp message with your dates in order to get the value, and that is discounted price. This is a little bit of extreme example of how we are doing it. With SaaS business, it's a little bit different. But basically, if somebody tells you tomorrow, if I would tell you, Akos, tomorrow you're going to get from us 100 people that have super high chances of becoming your customers, you wouldn't care if I'm sitting and manually by myself doing some stuff in spreadsheet, or if we have everything in Zapier, or we have the best backend ever. You know that tomorrow you will get the value that you're looking for.
Yeah, as long as it's done.
Exactly. So that's my point. We don't try to kind of deliver zero and get money for that. We deliver the value, but how in the background everything happens, it's super ugly. It's like if you're in a restaurant, 5-star restaurant, you have no idea how dirty it is, how people are swearing each other inside the kitchen, like how how much oil is there on the board and everything, but you get nice meal. And that's what we do. We, like right now, we set up our kitchen that is very limited. It's very unsexy. It's very uncomfortable for us mostly, but our guests, they get meal and they pay for it, and that's how we build. And then slowly, as they're paying more and more for our meals, we just build a nicer and bigger kitchen.
Yeah, I love this mental picture, and I also have to say, I think for eternity you imprinted the messy kitchen picture of the 5-star hotel in my mind. So I'm hesitant to go there the next time. Although I would still get a good meal. Just as you said.
That's exactly the point. That's exactly the point. Yeah, there is exchange between the value and the money, and what we are driven by is we provide meals to our customers. They pay us for it. Kitchen, super ugly, super uncomfortable, but it works. It works for now.
Aleksa, thanks so much for joining me today. It was extremely insightful, and I'm very curious to follow your journey and see when and where your tool gets broken again and upgraded and broken and upgraded. And I wish you the best of luck in this journey. You're building something awesome.
Thanks a lot, Akos. I really appreciate it, and thanks a lot for running this series. It's definitely great to get this kind of content on the market.
Pleasure. Take care, Aleksa.
Cool. Have a good one.